and welcome to Business Edition. In this program, we'll look to see how credit reports can improve the performance of the banking sector. In the Entrepreneur today with me, Sabrina Dorman, as she talks about the changing trends of Tanzanian consumers. My name is Yvonne Msemembo saying welcome to Business Edition. So with me right now, I have the General Manager of Dun & Bradstreet Credit Bureau, Tanzania Limited, Adeboale Atobatele. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Briefly about Dun & Bradstreet Credit Bureau, who are you?
Dun & Bradstreet Credit Bureau in Tanzania is the newest equity bureau of Dun & Bradstreet Credit Bureaus Limited, which is an affiliate of Dun & Bradstreet International, based in the US. We are known to be the world's largest repository of business information. And we also play a very strong role in providing risk management tools. We provide credit risk training. But in Tanzania, our focus at the moment is the credit bureau business, assisting banks and all other lenders, better manage their credit appraisal processes.
Okay, I know Tanzania, we've seen an increase of the development of the banking sector, mushroom of banks in the country, and microfinances services and so forth. What was it particularly about Tanzania that you decided to come here?
Tanzania is a very unique market. At a point, from our study, Tanzania was the fastest growing economy in East Africa. From what we understand, it still is. Apart from the size of the market, apart from the sophistication of the banking sector, apart from a very stable regulatory environment, it is a very stable country, very peaceful, and security is guaranteed to a very large extent. So we thought to ourselves, putting all those factors into consideration, Tanzania would be the ideal place in East Africa to start. We were going to start off in another country. Unfortunately, at that point in time, about 4 years ago, that country had a security scare. And, I think that the board and management thought, look, it's better to start off in Tanzania, where investment is safe and secure, where the regulatory framework is well defined, where the banking sector is experiencing growth, and to a very large extent, there is some form of sophistication and awareness in the market. And so we thought Tanzania would be good. And
talking about awareness, is there awareness there? Do the banks know about the kind of services that you provide?
Yes, and this is where we must give credit to the banks. It was actually, from what I understand, was the banks who kept demanding for existence and establishment existence of credit bureaus. I remember there was a TBA, that's a Tanzania Bankers Association-led process of selecting a credit bureau. So yes, banks are aware. However, what we haven't seen happen is banks that transforming that awareness into action. So it's one to have knowledge, then the second phase is to use that knowledge. So what we want to see at the end of the day is banks actually making use of the bureau, of the credit bureau. So not just being aware of the bureau's existence, but making very good use of the bureau. What
does the picture show about the banking sector or the financial sector in the country?
I see a banking sector that is very dynamic, now getting very aggressive. I see banks, from when I first got into this country, my first visit was in 2012. I've seen a lot of products come up, being launched. A lot of products have been launched. Mobile payments, mobile banking. Banks are not giving credit, via mobile, partnering with the telcos. So I see a lot of innovation taking place. But the real work that I want to see banks do, the real transformation I want to see happen is how do we get innovative with granting credit? Because that is the whole essence of banking. From my little understanding, that's what we need to do. How do we ensure that, the good people within the country, who have a good pattern of repaying loans, actually get money to expand, to grow, and become successful and become prosperous, because that's how a middle class, a very robust middle class is created. Identifying people who actually have the money, the means or the capability to turn around money. All right, we need to make sure that they get money. So a lot of innovation is taking place in the banking sector. The banking sector has shown a lot of vibrancy, but there's still a lot more that needs to be done, ensuring that we actually identify people who have the propensity to repay, propensity to turn around funds, and make sure that they get more money.
And what does the information show about the Tanzanians themselves? Are they accessing the formal kind of banking services, financial services, or do we still face a challenge of many people being excluded? Because I know that has been the problem for the past few years.
I would say diplomatic, but the honest truth is, from what I have seen, the bulk of the lending takes place outside the regulated sector. And without taking anything away from the efforts of BOT, because I think they've done a very good job at setting up a data bank into which all commercial banks submit data. However, because the bulk of the lending in the market as a whole takes place outside the outside the regulated sector, it means that close to 60–70% of the credit information is unreported. It means that the MFIs, the SACCOs, the informal lenders are totally excluded from submitting data to the credit bureaus and from accessing, information from the credit bureau. It becomes difficult for them. So what I think should have happened was, from the onset, an all-inclusive credit reporting system should have been implemented such that allows the MFIs who give credit, the SACCOs, the various cooperatives, the various unions, retailers who sell on credit, at least to be able to submit data, all right, update the central repository often so that they can get, information on those who they want to lend to, or who they want to sell credit to, who they want to sell goods to on credit. So that is where I think the major challenge has been. It hasn't been all-inclusive. But that, again, is not to take away from the success that BOT has recorded. They've done extremely well. They're doing a lot more to improve data quality, which at the start was a very big challenge. But with the intervention of BOT, banks have been working very hard to ensure that the data they send to the central repository is clean and there is consistency submission, which is good. So I would say to a very large extent, we got off to a good start, but there's still a whole lot of work to be done. I mean, for us to achieve, to optimize the use of credit bureaus in this country will take maybe another 4 years, where data submission is consistent, data submission is clean, and we actually can see the whole universe of credit activities in Tanzania. So,
okay, so do you think this is somewhere that you think you can come in and,
this is where we come in. In a way, we've been playing our own role, creating awareness, and at the same time, ensuring that those banks who are assigned to us at the moment actually get help with cleaning their data. They get help with improving data submission, because we realize that, unfortunately, the credit reference data bank built by BOT is a little bit complex. I'll be very frank. Okay, it's a little bit complex. Yes, the idea is good, all right, but I would say it's not entirely user-friendly. So, say for example, when a bank submits data, okay, they're meant to receive an error log, all right, which is supposed to tell them you have submitted maybe 120 records, all right, just example, hypothetical, and out of the 120, 60 passed, and the remaining, 60 failed. When we got into the market, we realized that a lot of banks did not even know. So once they uploaded the batch, they thought, okay, look, I'm home and dry. But in actual fact, no, they're not. They're not home and dry because only 50% of the data that they uploaded went through the validation process. So what we did was to create a tool to help banks retrieve the error log, all right, and convert it into readable language. because it comes in, the error log in its plain form is in something like codes. So it's difficult to read, difficult to interpret, difficult to analyze. So what we did was to create a tool that helps bank on the fly to identify where the errors are and then correct the errors and resubmit. We also created a tool that helps banks to take their data in whatever format they have it, say for example CSV, take that to the data, upload in our tool. The tool does the validation, helps them to see where they may have made mistakes, correct it on the spot, and then upload to BOT, and they have 100% success in submission.
What does it show? In terms of performance of the banks, in terms of the challenges that the banks are facing as well, or is it confidential?
There's certain things I can't reveal, okay? But what I would say is that there is a lot of desire, all right, in the banks to get lending right. Okay? Some banks, for example, have made sure that the use of credit reports in analyzing, when analyzing or appraising credit applications is compulsory. Some banks have done that. So I would say that to a very large extent there's the desire to get things right. And I think it's safe to leave it at that.
These reports, the impact in terms of the development of the banking sector in Tanzania, do you see is it there?
I do. You know, look, and the benefit.
So where exactly?
The benefit is there, and it's very obvious. And you know, the benefit, we can even start from the way the credit report, our credit report is designed. From the first page of my credit report, as a very sophisticated banker or discerning banker, I can tell if I'm appraising a client, a credit subject who is going to take money away or who's going to make money for the bank, from the very first page. And if I want to find out more details, I flip through the other pages. But, you know, here's what the banks get. By using our credit report, they get to know everything that they did not know about the customer. E.g., has that customer borrowed money elsewhere? What is the repayment pattern of this customer? What's the probability of default? What is this customer's propensity to repay? Now, has this customer borrowed anywhere else? And if so, by applying to me for credit, are they proposing to over-leverage? Do they actually have the capacity to repay? Now, those are things that the credit report produced by Dun & Bradstreet actually helps banks to know. So we bridge that information gap. But ultimately, with that information, what we do is we're promoting responsible lending, secure lending. So you're not just lending with your eyes closed, you're lending with your eyes opened, you're lending from an informed position. You're lending knowing that, look, I have seen everything I need to see about this customer. I know his repayment pattern. I can, calculate the likelihood that he will default. I can estimate or establish that he has a natural propensity to repay. Or otherwise, I can tell if he has been going to other banks to apply for credit. Because if someone has been hopping from one bank to another, and there have been several inquiries on that customer in the past 6 weeks, that tells me a lot about that customer.
So you're saying that from these reports, the banks are able to make changes, and the data that they continue to submit to you, you do see the improvements, or you don't.
From the report, the banks are able to know everything that they need to know about the customer to help them make an informed decision whether or not to lend. If they're going to lend, at what rate. Okay? Talking about data Data improvement is an ongoing exercise. It's going to take a little bit more time. What we had hoped to see when we got into the market was historical data, of at least 3 years behind, okay, and consistent, okay. But that didn't happen, and we understand why. We're just, like any other developing country, we just haven't taken data storage and things like that very seriously. Some banks claim to have the data, some perhaps don't, but it's okay. We're building up. Okay, what we hope the banks will do and all the data providers will be to be consistent in reporting. So when you're submitting data to the central repository or to the bureau, you're submitting data. You're ensuring that the data you submit is complete, is accurate, and there is consistency. So if, for example, I submit data, I'm a data provider. I submit data about you, my borrower. I want to be sure that what I'm submitting is true, it is accurate, and I'm submitting as and when required. So that is what we believe the banks, we're all going to be doing, working together, stakeholders, to improve credit reporting in Tanzania. Because look, the benefit of credit reporting in Tanzania, or in any economy, can never be overstated. Okay, I mean, what it does is, I mean, to the regulator, helps us have a very good idea of how lending is going on in the market. Okay, it just aids improved supervision. Okay, to the bank, helps them know who their customers are. You right? Thus, helping them to better manage their losses and reduce NPL ratio. Get the ratio of NPL. Now, to the borrower, if you have a good credit report, you're going to get credit. But you also have a responsibility to repay when credit is given. Okay? And to the economy as a whole, what it does is it helps us build a very robust middle class, ensuring that people who deserve to have access to credit actually get access to credit at a good rate. And we all have, we develop a culture of repayment.
Way forward for, Dan and Bradstreet Credit Bureau in Tanzania. What should we expect?
We're here to stay.
You're here to stay.
We don't see ourselves as, we're a local company. I'm the only non-Tanzanian here, and it's going to stay that way. We're Tanzania's partner for development, long-term partner for development. We're here to stay. We're here to promote responsible lending. We're here to promote access to credit. We believe that we can build a very vibrant middle class if people who deserve to have access to credit actually do at a very good rate.
Welcome back to Business Edition, and now in the Entrepreneur Today, I have with me Sabrina Dorman, the country manager of Jumuiya. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
But just tell us, who are you?
Who am I? Well, my name is Sabrina. Obviously, I am not Tanzanian, yeah. So I'm originally, I'm American, but I've done a lot of work in my past in Africa, and I had got this opportunity to come to Tanzania and start up a new business. It's brand new. We've been operating for 3 months now. And I thought it was an amazing opportunity because you can tell when you talk to Tanzanians, they're so excited to hear that Jumuiya is a service offered in the market. It's like they've been waiting for this opportunity to have really great online shopping. So I just thought it was a great opportunity to come here and start this business and really help the market grow in e-commerce.
When we look at online shopping in the country, do you see it in the foreseeable future replacing shopping in shopping malls?
Absolutely.
You do?
Yes, I do. Because online you can get, there's so many more options online than there is in the physical shop. You get a much wider assortment of products, and at the same time you can compare prices. So usually if you go into a shop and you're looking for a mobile phone, there's that one mobile phone at that one price. On Jumuiya you have the option of looking at 3 of the same mobile phone that maybe is at 3 different prices, and you can price compare, look at different GBs, memory. So there's so many more options online. I think it offers the customer everything they could possibly want in a physical shop, and the comfort of their own home or in their hand.
So this is a challenge for those who, in the physical shop business.
Well, I think it's an opportunity, actually, for the people in the physical shop. So yes, you still have customers who want to come in and touch and feel the product before they decide to buy. But our objective is to get those shops working on Jumuiya and putting and listing their products on Jumuiya, and then they have access to the entire Tanzanian market. They have a brand new sales channel where now they can access millions of customers that they could never access before. So it's actually an opportunity more than a hindrance to them.
Okay, and what is the assessment so far when we look at online shopping in the country?
Mm-hmm.
What does the trend show?
Well, in terms of what people want, it's a lot of fashion and it's a lot of electronics. So those are kind of our top categories. So that's what we aim to offer, the most variety and the best prices to customers in those categories for sure. We also see that there's, it's interesting looking at the different types of market segments. Yeah, you have people who, they want the cheapest product, and you have other people who want the nice branded product. And so it's interesting seeing kind of the different consumers out there. And so my job is to really look at how can we serve all the different types of market segments that are out there and provide the best customer service to those consumers.
Women are great shoppers, but when you look at the trend, what does it show in Tanzania? Are women doing more shopping online now than compared to the men?
I don't think women are doing more necessarily. Men, you think women are always shopping for the fashion items, but, one of our most popular items is men's shoes. So the guys are on there, they're looking for jeans, they're looking for shoes, they want to look nice too. And then you also we've done some campaigns where, men can buy for their girlfriends, or, the girls buy for their guys and things like that. So I think it's quite equal.
And when we look at the mindset of Tanzanians, do you see it changing though?
I don't know if I can necessarily comment on that. Yeah, so I think what's very interesting about Tanzania is you have a base of consumers who are already very tech savvy. They know how to use their mobile phone, their smartphones. They know how to download applications. They know how to use the internet and Facebook and Instagram and all of that. And then you have consumers who are just getting introduced to these items. So one of the great things about Tanzania is you now have these very cheap smartphones, and it's getting into the hands of people who may not have had a smartphone before. And all of a sudden now, they have the Jumia application on their phone, and it's this new shopping experience. So there's a lot of education that goes along with that new kind of tech-savvy consumer. So we're seeing that those are the type of people who are calling our customer service and asking, how do I place an order? I want to place an order, but please teach me how. So that's something I think is very exciting. We're going to see that segment growing and growing.
What are the kind of challenges that you face in a business like yours?
Gosh, there's a lot of challenges, but I feel like we address them
when it comes to technology, internet connectivity, is that still a problem? Or
so far, no, actually. And I think that's because there's so many options with internet. There's so many different service providers. So if one network goes down, you can rely on another one. So we haven't had a ton of issues with that. Obviously, the logistics are a challenge, and we have our own logistics company that is dealing with getting delivery to the customer. And so there's always challenges that come along with that. But we're working on them as much as every other logistics company is as well. I think the other challenges are really around educating the consumer and getting people to be accustomed to the Jumia experience.
Dar es Salaam is where business is being conducted. Mm-hmm. But when we look at the other regions, what is Jumia doing to make sure that you do reach the other regions?
Mm-hmm. So yes, I would say Dar es Salaam is kind of the center of most of the business, and so the vendors that we work with are typically based in Dar es Salaam. That's where the majority of, obviously, goods are coming in through the port. But we've signed up a couple of businesses in Arusha, and we also work with vendors here who have branches in different cities. And Jumia is looking to expand to a new hub in Arusha very soon, and so I imagine we will have hubs in the major cities, just like most of the major businesses in Dar have hubs in the major cities. And we already ship upcountry. We ship all over Tanzania. So if you're, a customer way out in the Lakes region, that's fine. We can get products to you.
How does this work when you talk about shipping products to other regions? What is entailed here?
So we have our own logistics company. It's called AI Express. And they handle shipping all over the country. So we have riders, we have agents who are going to make deliveries to customers.
And no problems with the deliveries are misplaced and things like that? Nothing like that?
There's always the occasional mishap, but for the most part, no. We get the deliveries right to their doorstep.
Okay, so overall, when we look at the online business, online shopping in Tanzania, so this is a trend that you think that is likely to stay and develop quite fast?
Absolutely.
Tanzania.
Yeah, I think all the other e-commerce companies out there see the opportunity in Africa and in East Africa and now in Tanzania, obviously. I think it's only going to grow, and I think the great thing is, Jumia is not the only e-commerce business out there. There's a ton of other businesses that are doing more and more online transactions, and I think that's great. That's the best way to grow the market, to get people accustomed to using the internet, to using mobile applications.
And do you see this as a place where an area where it can address the problem of unemployment in the country? Especially graduates.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I am really excited to do is to start kind of like a on-the-ground sales force for Jumia. So anybody who wants to make sales on behalf of Jumia can kind of become their own entrepreneur, their own salesperson, and they would earn, some money based on the sales that they make. Same with some of the vendors we're working with. Some of our vendors have like a small shop in Kariako where they're designing their own items. And all of a sudden we've put them on Jumia and they're doing a ton of sales. And so now we can go to them and say, can you make, 10 more t-shirts just like this? And it expands their business, exponentially. So now those guys can hire more people and expand their business. So I think there's huge opportunity, especially in the realm of entrepreneurship.
What is the way forward for Jumia in the next couple of years in the country?
Big growth, lots of growth. So we're already growing about 30% month on month. And we aim to continue that and make that go even further. Obviously, my goal is to give customers the best prices and the best assortment. So I want them to have all of the options possible at their fingertips on the website, and that means that I want to work with the big vendors here in Tanzania. So I'm looking to work with more and more businesses in Tanzania.
For someone who's in this business, in the online shopping and buying business, what are the key things that are very important to make sure that you do stay successful in this business?
You need to know what are the latest trends and what are the latest products that are coming out on the market. So you need to know kind of what's hot right now. And the consumer is very savvy, right? So the consumer knows what's the latest item and what price should that be. And so we always need to stay, a little bit ahead of that, right? To make sure that as soon as the customer knows what they want, we have it ready for them. So I think that's kind of the key element of being ahead in this business.
Well, that's it from me, Yvonne Msemembo. Until next week, same time, it's goodbye from Business Edition.